Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of AI-Powered PM. I'm Todd, and today we're going to be vibe coding your first MCP server. We're going to achieve this with one prompt file and a few clicks, and the result will be the MCP server will be created, we'll test it, and we'll use Copilot to explain anything we don't understand about that whole process. Stick around till the end, and I'll share the link to my GitHub repo, and you can use this prompt file that I'm sharing with you to build your own and walk through the tutorial, or it's got the MIT license, so you can do whatever you want. You can modify it to create actions that are more meaningful for your use case. So let's jump into it. This is Visual Studio Code, and you'll notice one file in here. This is the prompt file. It's 582 lines, so we won't cover everything, but I want to make sure that you know it exists and know that it's the only file in the folder right now. And let's check some prerequisites. So if I go into the extensions of Visual Studio Code, and the ones you'll need is GitHub Copilot and GitHub Copilot Chat. And let's check one other thing. So let's go into File, Preferences, Settings, and let's look for Auto Approve. So this is Tools Auto Approve, controls whether the tool should automatically be approved. If you check this box, it's going to save us a lot of clicking. Now comes the vibe coding part. Okay, let's go ahead and reference the one file in here, my first MCP server.md. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes and I haven't done anything. Since we set the auto approve, it went through and it iterated on this and it created our MCP server. So let's go back and see exactly what it did. I guess I never mentioned what this MCP server is going to do, but it's got a few different actions: a calculator, a file explorer, a random generator, and a system information action. And if you can see, it built this project entirely on its own with no intervention from me. And now it says your MCP server is complete and ready. It talks about the project structure and what it did for dependencies. And now it even tells me what I need to do to get this thing started. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's follow the steps it gives us. So let's hit Control-Shift-P, open the command palette. We will MCP add server. And then it says choose command stdio, so we'll do that. And I'm gonna copy this part in, which is the command. Okay, I'm gonna keep the default name it suggests for the server, and let's put this in the global workspace. And great, this shows running. I'm gonna do one more check just to make sure. If you click on this wrench and screwdriver icon, now we see it selected. And we also see the different actions. So calculator, file explorer, random generator, and system information. Now let's go ahead and let's test each of them. And it even gives us some test prompts. So let's just use the test prompts. So we'll do calculate 25 times 7. Now you can tell that it hit the MCP server because of this line right here, as well as all the text around it. So that worked perfect with no coding. Now, let's do the next prompt. Generate some random data. Great, this one worked perfectly as well. Random numbers, strings, UUIDs, booleans. Okay, let's try out the file explorer. List the files in my project directory, and it correctly lists out everything in this particular directory. And then finally, let's try the system information one. So we'll say, what's my system information? So now you can see what kind of computer I'm running, the OS and the memory and the RAM, the processor. Yeah, everything worked perfectly, all with zero coding and zero intervention. Now, I'll be honest, I don't do a lot of coding in TypeScript, so let's see if we can get this Copilot to tell us more about TypeScript in this project so we can learn a little bit. Let's ask it, can you explain the work you did? And it got back with a real nice summary of what it actually did. So it goes through the project structure and what each file is generally doing and what each folder is. And it tells you about how the tools got implemented, which SDK it used. It even added some security features, tells you how to test it, and then it tells you how to install and run and start and build it. So that's pretty cool. So let's ask it about calculator.js, which is where more of the logic is actually happening. All right, so it it breaks this whole thing down for us. It talks about how the class is defined and how we extract the parameters. And then you see it does some validation of inputs. So parameter must be a valid number. And then it does input validation, and it tells you exactly like why it's there and what it accomplishes. And then business logic validation. And then it gets into the main calculation engine. And it talks about, it's a switch statement. There's two outputs, the number and the formatted string. And it gives you the whole table of examples and how each of them works, and then how it returns. So this thing will take you from not having to write any code, and then it will create the solution for you, and then it will explain to you in however much detail you want exactly the solution it created. So it's so much easier than just about any other way I've found to be able to develop solutions quickly. These GitHub Copilot prompts are so powerful. I mean, you saw how amazing that was. You can just take a simple prompt, no coding, and you got your MCP server up and running in a few minutes. And as promised, here's the URL to the repo so you can try it and modify it and start to build your own MCP servers. It's bit.ly/AIPM and the number 1. Okay, let's have some fun here. Let's see what happens if we go to bit.ly.com/AIPM, which is not the one that's associated with me. I'm not associated. I can't make any promises. If you do decide to participate with these 7-figure elite coaches and high ticket offers, could be great. Who knows? But it's not associated with me. Now, if you go to bit.ly.com/AIPM1, this is my GitHub repo, and this is where you can get the prompt file, vibe code your first MCP server, and content from any of the other episodes. All right, see you on the next one.